Salute to all the real ones out there. It's your boy Mike coming at you again with another video. Y'all like the content I've been dropping, direction that my channel was headed in? I need you to like, comment, subscribe, and share my videos with anybody else you think may benefit from them, all right? Now, today's video topic is going to be entitled, Faith Gives Suffering Direction. So we're going to start off first with the definition of faith. It's a strong, often unshakable belief or complete trust in someone or something, frequently without absolute proof or evidence. And the reason why I'm saying faith gives suffering direction, it's important for you to have faith because a powerful conviction will anchor your being, and it gives you fuel in those periods of doubt or adversity. No one is going to care more about your goals, visions, and desires than you. And you will inevitably suffer in life. So why not choose the reason and conditions for that suffering? I've talked about this numerous times in other videos, but we are living in a time where most people are comfortable and they aim to be comfortable. It's easy for someone to just relax and burn a lot of time looking to be entertained or to passively watch a program or to take off the edge by drinking, smoking, or playing video games. But we all know in the back of our heads that the things that are hard to accomplish require some level of suffering. Suffering, of course, doesn't feel good, but it yields you great results if you learn how to stick through it. And suffering doesn't destroy people. The meaningless suffering does. Most people aren't breaking from pain. They're breaking because they don't know why they're experiencing the pain. And at some point, we all hit that phase where nothing makes sense. It's like you're putting in a lot of effort just to move forward, but life gives you a lot of resistance and pushes you back. And the question starts to creep in. Why is this happening to me? If you guys remember, there was a Cat Williams special. I want to say it was the Pimp Chronicles back in like 2006. One of his groundbreaking comedy specials that made him a household name. And I think he said something along the lines of, it's not about what happens to you in life, but rather how you respond. So when you think about the periods of pain you may experience and you ask yourself, why is this happening to me? That question right there is where most people start to spiral. Because if you believe your suffering is random, then you will resent it, right? If you believe it's unfair, you'll ball up your fists and want to fight against it. And if you believe that it has no meaning and it continues happening, the pain that you're experiencing, it may throw you into a state of depression or break you as a person. That's how people become bitter. Not broken, but bitter, right? But the moment you introduce faith into your suffering, it's like everything will change. Because faith doesn't remove the pain, so to speak, but it gives it some type of direction. So instead of the person sitting back asking, why is this happening to me? They may begin asking, what is this trying to build in me. You see how that's two totally different sides of the spectrum, but the suffering remains the same? You see, like with faith, suffering stops being punishment. It becomes preparation for what's to come. It makes you battle tested and able to receive blessings that you otherwise may not be strong enough to handle. So every setback, every delay, every moment of pressure that you experience actually starts to look like training. So it's not destroying you, it's developing you. And this is what I think most people don't realize here. When you believe that there's meaning behind your pain, your ability to endure it changes. Your mind stabilizes. Your emotions stop controlling you. You don't fold under pressure, but rather you begin to adapt to it. Then we have the identity layer, right? Because suffering reveals who you truly are, but faith decides who you become after. And we all know that anybody can feel strong when life is easy. It's right on par with that saying that good sailors are not made through peaceful waters. You have to experience storms and maybe times that your ship is capsized or that you maybe lose a few people on your ship to make you more battle tested, right? So when everything falls apart, that's when your foundation is being tested. So instead of saying, why me? You start saying to yourself, use me, because you know your higher self is giving you challenges that are not meant to break you, but to make you battle tested. So that way, when a blessing comes down later on, you're more prepared to handle it. Setbacks also show you discipline. Faith gives you something that most people don't have, which is stability in chaos. When everything around you is uncertain and you're still grounded. When you don't react all emotionally and you respond instead with intention. Everyone suffers, that's guaranteed. But unfortunately, not everybody grows. And that's a choice. And that's where faith is what turns suffering into direction. So I got a couple of examples that I want to talk about because this is something that has been ingrained in my own psyche over time. When I think about the times that I was like in the military, the faith that we will become ready for combat, the faith that we are being the best soldiers we can be, and the faith that our training will result in us knowing how to react when, quote unquote, shit hits the fan. Those were all things that gave our training and the suffering that we went through direction. And it was perfect. Like when I look at some of the stuff that I originally heard in my head as something we would have to do, my emotions ran all over the place. And I started wondering, do I even have what it takes to make it? But then, we would train and we would fight and we would go through ruck marches and all different types of obstacles to battle test us. And when I look back at those times of adversity, those difficult trials and tribulations that we had to endure as soldiers, specifically as paratroopers in 82nd Airborne Division, like those were some of the best times of my life because I got to test my own abilities and the forward momentum killed all doubt and allowed me to transcend what I thought was possible for my own self. But if you look at some of the stuff that I experienced, it wasn't easy when I was going through it, but the pain and the suffering that I went through was coupled with faith that I would make it through. And like looking back, those were some of the best times in my life because I had direction through the faith, even though I was enduring the suffering. Even if you think of other examples like, let's say, character development. This is something that I find is very important for your personal evolution. First, you have to face your fears and past trauma. Then, you have to maybe forgive yourself and others who may have hurt you. You have to accept what happened to you, make peace with it, and move on. You may even need to change environments. You may even need to eliminate ties with people who were holding you in a previous version of yourself. And now it's time for you to mingle with like minds. And when it's all said and done, you literally maybe transform who you are. And now you have different hobbies and you're facing new challenges that will also make you grow in this new direction that you're headed as a person. So that's a good example of how faith in that process gives the suffering direction. Lastly, when you think about having to learn a new skill, you start off with zero knowledge. You just know that whatever subject is something that you're interested in getting proficient at. You may first have to take a course and experience the difficulty of learning brand new concepts and failing over and over and over again. You may even need to enlist the help of a tutor or watch extra videos or revamp the way that you learn. Over time, you slowly gain proficiency. Then you might get tested or have to go through an examination process. And when it's all said and done, you might land with solid employment because of a certificate that proves that you have developed the skills. That's also another example of how faith gives your suffering direction because you have an end game that you want to reach. And anything that you go through on your way to reaching that goal is only shaping you and making you more eligible to receive the blessing on the other side. So in summary and conclusion, I just want y'all to remember that faith gives suffering direction. And the more you can internalize that when it's time for you to go after something you want to achieve, the more you will evolve.